You are now tuning in to the Val and Val Show, where conversation is art, art, art. Conversation is art, conversation is art. You should chime in, ain't no telling what to spark on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no telling the Val and Val Show. You know, ain't no telling where we go on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no ceiling, cause the art of conversation is the flow. It's that creativity available when we speak, available in our homes, available in the streets. We just trying to get it sparking and take it a little deeper. Keep it casual while fireside chatting with our people. Yeah, we take it a little deeper. It get hot when we fireside chatting with our people. Cause conversation is art, conversation is art. You should chime in, ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val, the Val and Val Show. The Val and Val Show.
Well, good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. Welcome to the Val and Val Show. We're gonna have an exciting night tonight. Hopefully, when you get through with this show, you will feel some semblance of healing and relaxation, and just being able to just realize we gonna be all right, no matter what's going on in this world. We're gonna be all right. So again, welcome to the Val and Val Show. I see my favorite fan is already here, Eleanor Fisher. I was trying to tag her as I always do, but hey, she already up in here. So y'all need to get like Eleanor, be on time, and come on up in here. So hope all is well. Know we got a lot going on, lots going on in the world. And what they say, the only thing constant is change. And it seems like change is rapid firing. But what I would recommend you all do with all this change, make sure you take care of your mental health. Don't absorb all this news. Don't be going down these rabbit holes with people. When people have made up their mind to be a certain way, nothing you say or do can change it. Okay. So just go on. Just go on. Live your best life. Because guess what? The folks gonna cause you to stroke out and have a heart attack, and they'll still be around here having chaos. So again, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. And I'm not gonna belabor it. Look, I've had her on here before. She is a wordsmith, aka poet, okay? But beyond that, this lady can take conversation, a simple conversation with you, and give you something back that will just simply blow your mind, blow your mind. And I'm referring to Salaam Green. And if you're in the Birmingham area and you're not familiar with her name, you've been on the rock, because she was selected as Birmingham's inaugural poet laureate, okay? Because of her talent. And she has been doing an awesome job. So if you don't know her, you will know her tonight. And she's a country girl like me, okay? That we bond. And also, she's my soror, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, okay? Okay. So, plus she's a believer. So we triple bonded. We triple bonded. We are triple bonded, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about her. She, like I said, she's Birmingham first poet, I would say laureate. And then also she's been recognized for a lots of stuff in the literary arts. I'm not even gonna try to name all that stuff. She's gonna tell you what she wants you to know about her. She has more than 16 years as an arts educator, a healer. Did y'all hear that? Healer. Healer. Healer and community leader. So, poetry and healing, okay? And you all know some of our famous poets, words on paper bring to life. So, come on in the room, Miss Salaam Green. Hello there. Hello there.
Hello there, Miss Valerie, Val, Soror. Oh,
All of it.
all of it. I love it. Thank you for having me. Yes.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons you all see I titled this Healing Through Poetry. So, Salam, come on and tell us what's been going on. First, give the people a little background about you, and then tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. But one of the things I really want to say thank you, first of all, to those persons in Birmingham for this recognition as the first Birmingham Poet Laureate. I am have a 2-year term, and it's been 6 months. So I can't believe the time has flown, and we have done some
Wow.
work in 6 months. We've done an anthology called Once Upon a Magic City. We have given out over 200 of those books throughout the city to students, to adults, to different organizations and different persons. And we're hoping to do another run next year as well. I am working in all kinds of capacities, going around speaking, supporting education, as well as supporting literacy development and all
Okay.
things. But at the heart of it, I have a literary healing arts business where I support people in using their own voices to heal their lives. We,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So that's why,
And,
yeah, at the
and let
heart
me
of it.
tell you all, she can really heal your life. Um, During the pandemic, a lot of stuff broke off. A lot of stuff broke off and looked like
Right.
more stuff breaking off. So I had an opportunity to actually let her take my words and help me heal some, and which I'm going to read that later on to you all. So now, Salaam, tell us how you got here to being the inaugural poet laureate. How did that come about? Did you just like the phone rang and they were like, "Hey, girl, did you
Oh
have
my
a or what?"
was that simple. No, absolutely. I'll tell people I feel like I'm an accidental poet, number one. I never like set out to be a poet. In my late 40s, almost in the 50, and started off in education as an administrator in all those spaces and have a master's in early childhood. And then, through life, I went through my own personal depression and my own personal trials after a divorce and many different things that kind of happened in my life, and I needed healing. And I found healing on another lady's red couch, and my healing came through writing with other women. And so I started later in life utilizing my English degree that I got from the University of Montevallo to say, okay, how can I support people in writing and in poetry, even though I didn't even know that I was a poet. So to be
Wow.
at Laureate, I mean, my backstory is that like I started later in life on this writing and poetry journey, and saying, okay, can I follow my dreams, and what does that look like in using poetry as a healing tool versus some of the other kind of traditional ways. But the Poet Laureate program is funded through the Alabama State Council on the Arts. The Al-
Okay.
yes, so in Montgomery, the Alabama State Council on the Arts gave funding for 2 poet laureates throughout the state of Alabama. One's Birmingham and one is Mobile.
Okay.
A robust application process went out. I think the process was close to a couple months. Many people applied. After applying, we had several interviews. Then we also had to perform poetry and then talk about what we believe our poetry platform could be. And then there was a vote here in Birmingham, and I'm sure in Mobile, with literary dignitaries on deciding after the final interviews and applications who they were going to nominate. And throughout all of that stuff I went through it with my old self, I was like, I'm too old to be applying and interviewing and videotaping and talking to this person, talking to that person, that I was selected. And the city of Birmingham decided that they wanted to take this on alongside Create Birmingham, and we are here today.
Wow. Wow. Look, see, God lined all that up. Even your pain. And
Mhm.
that's the saying, the pain becomes your purpose. The divorce became a catalyst for you. I've always journaled. My mother was a journaler. We didn't know it was journaling, but I'll write your thoughts down type things. It helped you not to go out and just bust somebody in the head on most occasions. Okay. So I mean, if you all don't have a journal, you need to get one. And you don't have to journal every day. I no longer journal every day. Sometimes I do a synopsis of the week. Sometimes I go a few weeks and there's nothing that I need to journal. Um,
Right.
and then yeah, so you just kind of have to do what works for you. I know we always have these 5 steps to this, 10 steps to this, and I'm always a jokester. I said, why I wasn't 11? Why I wasn't 6? Why I wasn't 7? I mean,
Why did couldn't be A, B, C, and D instead of 1, 2, 3, or 5?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to do what works for you. I think for me, as I've gotten older, I realized yes, it's good to have guidelines, but you have to do what works for you when you're doing things. So once you got to writing, so this okay, so Salam, as a child in school, you weren't writing, you were like, were you writing then?
Yes, as a child in school, like I'm an introvert, so I was very to myself. And I think all my life I was also maybe like low grade depressed, because I lived in rural Alabama, and my mother was a teacher, so we were middle class, but at the same time, we were living, as black folks in rural Alabama, right?
Yeah.
And I think that for me, I found my voice through English class, through reading, through
Okay.
journaling, through writing, through kind of my own voice through that way. So that's where I started. I mean, I tell people I used to go under a big oak tree in front of my house we grew up, and I would sit underneath that oak tree with my diary that had the golden key, and I would just begin to write in that dear diary, as
Yeah. And
right,
for
dear.
those of you that did not have the diary with the golden key, oh my God, you missed out on something special in childhood. Okay.
That don't about that. We need to create our own little my own little line of diaries with the golden key because it
I'm
changed.
telling you.
Yeah,
And you don't need a $5,000 journal. Okay. I use those composition notebooks sometimes.
right.
They cost 99 cents or whatever they cost. Look, and they ain't paying me, but Alice have some very beautiful journals for like $4.99. Okay, leopards, everything, whatever personality you have,
Go and
they
get it.
have them. So but like I say, those even a regular notebook.
Mhm.
You can write in a notebook. I literally have, those sweater boxes. I don't use a sweater box for sweater. I use them to store books and all of my old journals. And I like to, y'all, you keep your journals, okay? Don't burn your journals up and throw them away, because what it helps you realize that later on in life you go back and look and you realize, wow, look what
Wow.
I've come through, what I've overcome. And also not so much what you overcome, but what you've achieved. Because sometimes we downplay. Don't just write, I'm mad today and I'm write what makes you happy in the journal too. Those
Yeah,
those positive things. Have a
and you go
balance.
back through those. I love that you said go back through those journals because you can see your progress, and you can
Yeah.
like as a believer, I can see where God has brought me as well and how He's been faithful. And then also just in my personal life, I could just see the progress. So it's very important to say, okay, what was I thinking about in my 20s and my 30s? And you're like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
that didn't matter. That wasn't about nothing. I'm sitting there writing about some guy I was in love with, and thank God, that didn't happen, right? Or I'm sitting here worried about, finances or worried about a job, and you see like, okay, you go back and you really still love that younger you, and you're still
Yeah.
like expecting that and saying, look at where I was, but then you're like, but look at where I am today, and your journal tells you your story, your story.
True. It
Yeah.
does. I was listening to someone this morning, I believe it was, and they were talking about, generally when stuff happened to believers, oh my God, God, you abandoned me, God, da 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 da. And he said, why don't we see those trials and tribulation, which the Bible clearly says we're going to have, as God developing us, and in your case, getting you to your purpose. I know for me, I took speech and all that stuff in school. My parents on my mom's side, I will say they are just orators. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, and when you talkative, people are like, oh, you need to be quiet, you need to sit down. So my parents didn't do that, but others did. But when I got to high school, I took a speech course, and it was like, wow, your voice can have influence, right? And even now, people will, if they're going through some of their comment like, Val, help me navigate this. I need you to speak up for me. So I realize my voice is my gift. Now, do you need to learn to temper your things, your gifts and stuff, especially when you're a talker? You can't say what comes up comes out. In my 20s and 30s, I did that. Okay. I'm more so I'm more selective, but I still can drop the hammer if I need to, because there's still times when the hammer just need to drop. And it ain't no nice way to say some things. You just gotta deal with it and nip it in the bud. And those are usually, as I would say, that those demons be raising up. No, I'm not finna nice you down. I'm finna bust you in your mouth when them spirits, not figuratively, but literally
Literally.
down. You got to go down. You know what I'm saying? So Salaam, so since you're doing the poet laureate, you traveling everywhere I looked, I'm like, oh, this girl's everywhere. She everywhere. I can't keep up. How do you balance keeping up with your own business, your literary healing? How do you keep up with that?
There's no such I think there's no such thing as balance. I tell people it's like, okay, it's a decision on what I'm going to prioritize and take on at this point in my life, and know that there will be an opening for me to do this at a different point in my life.
Gotcha.
I'll never, I still do some of the writing to heal. I think where we met at UAB, so I still am an artist in residence there and do some contract work there. So that really fuels me with my business, because as a contractor, that's what I do as well. But when I look at it, it's like this is where God has me in this season as the poet laureate, and to have boundaries around that. But then also to see how can I best serve Him? How can I best serve the purpose of the people? How can I best bring poetry to light to the community? I'm a community poet, and for so long I wanted to be the academic poet that you see, on stage, and the one that you see with the books, and the one that get all the grants
Yeah.
published, and the ones that are part of the Academy of Poets and all that kind of thing. And who knows if that will open up. But really, I have following the path of where I'm in is really bringing poetry to the community, and just saying
Yeah.
where I am. Let me give my time to that and believe that this has value. And that this is where, God has me right now. This is where the Holy Spirit is leading me. And let me be faithful in that.
Yeah. And you know what? Your gifts and talents will make room. I mean, it's obviously it's making room. We don't realize that it's not about going to the top so fast, because you miss all of the journey. You miss relationships when you're grinding, trying to get there. You number one, you will dismiss some people that God intended for you to develop a relationship with, or you may miss some moments of just respite. We get to grinding so that we forget sometimes to be silent. One thing I take from Jesus is that in his business and only in the 3-year timeline he was doing stuff, he still used to get away. Okay, crowd, I got to go off by myself. And we have to be mindful of that. As I said, y'all, her wordsmithing is awesome. And I was trying to get something to share, but it don't want to cooperate tonight. But I ain't gonna give up. I ain't gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up on this coming up. Um, but anyway, so tell the people the process of when you talk to someone. What are you listening for and doing to come back and give them that poem?
Yes. So during the pandemic, I became a certified listener poet through the Good Listening Project, where I just sit with people, listen to their stories, and then write a custom poem. But honestly, I think I've been doing that for many years before somebody else decided they wanted to call it something what they call it. And so my whole thing is to witness. You know how in church when somebody does their testimony, and then we're
Yeah,
sitting in the pews are witnessing the testimony. Amen. Yeah, girl, I hear you. That's what I think I am. I think listening is witnessing for me. So when I'm sitting with you, Valerie, I'm like, okay, I'm witnessing your emotions. I'm witnessing your
gotcha.
me. And then I'm saying, how can I put those emotions and gestures into words? How can I put like your feelings, like if you say I was sad about this, or how can I put that into words? How can I really witness, not just listen to the words that you're saying, but witness Valerie in that moment? And I think that's where, I feel like, God has gifted me as an educator and orator, and I have a great voice and those kinds of things. But I'm really able to witness other people and bring to the world those voices that people already have in their lives that perhaps they haven't had an opportunity to kind of utilize. So that's how I do it. And then giving people a custom poem is kind of like the cherry on the top. The witnessing,
Gotcha.
listening is the healing. But then after that, here you go. Here's a poem, and then you're like, oh, I said that. Like, yeah, you said that. You're really
Yeah.
poem. Yeah.
But because I'm gonna tell y'all, you are if you ever have a conversation with her, she's gonna draw you in, and you're just gonna be sharing. Now, I can speak to this because when I was a ER nurse, I tell people when you come to the ER, depending on how sick you are, that's kind of like deathbed confession. You don't know you're gonna make it, so you just start telling the nurse everything. But also, that's another gifting with my mom's side of the family. For whatever reason, that God ordained this lineage to be like counselors to others and be like, we ain't overcome everything yet. Why we gotta talk to these people? And me and my daughter laugh. We can be out minding our business. Just hey, how you doing? Start chit chat. The next thing I know, they don't tell me. I don't want to know all that. And then I be like, okay, Lord. So here's another assignment. That's really how I view it. Because really what people need hope, you all. people just need to know it's going to be all right, that they can make it regardless of the circumstances. And with both of us being two small town girls, country girls, I always tell people the fortunate thing I had about being raised in Atmore in the Freemanville community. I-65 ran, right near our house, and Pensacola and Mobile was only 45 minutes uh, away. So Atmore is not as rural as some people are. We don't have to, like most people have to drive 60, 70 miles to get to the interstate from rural Alabama. Well, we just jump right on the interstate. I could walk to the interstate from my parents' house.
Wow.
In Atmore. So it was conveniently located between, two fairly nice sized cities and the beaches. So I tell her we were city country. Because we
You was countryside. You was countryside. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, love it. Hey, would not take anything for my small town upbringings. Taught me number one, that poor is really subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Poverty is really, and I'm not talking about money out. Poverty, abject poverty is really a mindset. You want to know why? Because our folks cleaned up those shacks they had. Some of them were stuffing newspaper in the walls to make sure it's warm. But guess what? They had those places decked out sharp.
Right.
They made it look. I mean, I was like, oh, my mom and them were poor by the United States standards. I didn't realize that time came to Birmingham.
Yeah, we didn't know we were poor. Yeah, there was no yeah, we did there was no bias or judgment. It was just the quality of life, and we had this deep love and community because we
Yeah,
around us, and everybody in the village had the same thing. So it wasn't like
yeah.
we compared to anyone else, and we
And,
took
and, and we shared in the village. It was no selfishness in the village. Look,
right.
my friend Eleanor from my hometown, she said, I used to say I was from LA, Lower Alabama is what we called it. And everything. But I was proud from Atmore, and they be like, I said it's about the same distance from Pensacola, Florida to Mobile. It's 12 miles from the Florida line. I got the speech down. I got the speech down.
Yeah.
So now let me ask you this: with your poet laureate duties, are you going into the Birmingham city schools or
Yes. So with the poet laureate duties, there are just specific duties that I have, and though I'm doing a whole lot of things that are not part of the duties, one of the specific things is to do two school visits with kids or two school programs with kids throughout the 2 years. So that's part of a part of what my responsibilities are. So I have always been working in the city schools and those kinds of spaces, but working
mm-hmm.
in the city, we're looking at ways that we could do a little bit more of that. So just this week, I did a back to school rally um,
Okay.
for school kids going back, so doing poetry there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of doing more, but also have done so much. I used to be a teaching artist in schools where I taught poetry with third graders and sixth graders.
Okay.
So it's yeah. So
What about churches? Have you done any poetry with churches?
I have done some poetry with some churches. I would love to do more faith based spaces and really getting out the spoken word back into those spaces and getting in those spaces as well, particularly working with workshops and going in
Yeah.
inspirational speaking. My background is really my background. I'm an old school Sunday school teacher, so I taught Sunday school for close to 15 years. Old school
Okay.
Sunday school, the commentary kind of what they don't do that anymore. 9:15, you go to Sunday school. I was the teacher, and that's what I
I
do.
want it to come back. I want Sunday school to come back. I really do.
I've been thinking I would love to do Sunday school. Yes, now, and I did it for many years, and that's where I kind of cut my teeth on being a Bible teacher. That's I love theology and education and teaching in that way. So yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm gonna help you out with that faith-based thing.
So that's why I'm here, so people can know how they can book me and how I can get out into these spaces. Yes,
Yeah. So I've already dropped your website
thank you.
in the chat with everything for sure. And you all look, you all utilize these gifts and stuff, and I'm gonna put it up here on the screen too. This is how you can reach out to us. Everything, contact information. You'll be amazed. And you all, I know for a fact that they're using poetry and things with children. Well, not just children, but adults too, but children specifically for trauma and stuff. It really helps them to have someone listen and put what they're feeling into words. Have you done anything like that, Salam?
Yeah, so as a my what I do at UAB is what we call therapeutic poetry, and we have
Okay.
it's called expressive writing. And I've done a lot of a whole lot of research programs and a lot of research projects with UAB and with Children's Hospital, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, on how we use writing and how we use poetry as a healing tool, utilizing certain protocols and utilizing different research and writing prompts. So my expressive writing and poetry as a healing tool certification comes from Duke University. So I have an integrative medicine expressive writing healing certificate from Duke University as a therapeutic poetry and writing facilitator. So when I come out to do the work that I'm doing, particularly, it is a therapeutic process versus just being performance or entertainment, which is both great. But my work is really therapeutic. My work is expressive. My work is really supporting people based on my knowledge and my plethora of my background, like the work that I do. I sit with people and help them to use their voices to heal their lives, utilizing research-based methods that I've gotten, certifications for.
Wow. Now I gotta ask you this. Everything that you just rolled off, all this stuff from Duke and everything else, all these certification. Did you even have a clue that all that was a part of it when you started out into this
I
poetry world?
I had no idea. There's even you can become a journal therapist.
Wow.
There's a such thing called journal therapy. Just look it up. It's very popular. You know how your therapist tells you, go and journal. There's actually
Hmm.
people who actually teach you how to do that and actually helps you with in therapy and a counseling tool. So I didn't know that there were journal therapists, there are poetry therapists, there are creative writing therapists, and of course there's art therapists and music therapists. But
Yeah.
I know that there were also therapists who worked with the expressive arts and who worked with the literary arts, such as myself. So, and I want to let people know that, like, if you are interested in sociology, psychology, counseling, the therapeutic arts, and you go and you get your degree in psychology or counseling, you can get a certificate in poetry and become a poetry therapist. You can become a journal therapist. And
Wow.
so that you can also work with people like myself who utilize this particular thing that you do every day as a therapeutic tool. Like, we aren't just playing around. When I tell you that I can come and help you journal and write yourself back together again, that there
Mm.
are such ways that I support you in doing that. When I say I sit with you and listen and write a poem, and that the listening is the healing, not so much the poem, that it's not me performing, it's me actually supporting your mind, body, and soul and your spirit. Just like if you were going to massage or going to, talk to somebody about their life. That's what I'm here to do.
Wait a minute, girl. I had to type that in the chat. You said Salam says she can help you write yourself back together again. I like that. I like that because you know what? I'm a glass half full kind of person. I don't care if hellfire raining down. I'm like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna be burned up. That's just how I am. But if you think about it, writing out what you're feeling or what you're thinking, and then reading it back will actually reveal you to you. Because sometimes when you start writing and those lights start going off, you didn't even realize you had that in you. So
Right.
now it's stuff bubbling up. I know for me, in my recent weight loss journey in the past 2.5 years, and I've lost 45 pounds in those 2.5 years. And other people say, oh, that's all in 45 pounds in 2 years. But this time for me, it was like, okay, what is the root of me yo-yoing? We kind of take that stuff lightly. Okay, what are those factors? Help me find out why I can lose weight, but I'm not keeping it off. I can keep it off for several years, then back and everything. So journaling and writing down things that came up for me led me back to childhood to deal with some things, to talk about some things, have some conversations with some family members. Um, Now, fortunately for me, unlike many, because we know sexual assaults and all that incest and all that stuff is prevalent and all that, that was not my plight. However, it still was hurtful things
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that we don't even realize watching TV subliminally could be triggering something that's in your psyche.
Right.
And there you go. You binge eating. And you can't figure out why you binge eating because it really is not to the surface. So talking to someone and getting it out can actually bring it to the surface. And then you can like throw that as the Bible into the sea, like be gone. You're not going to control my life. So I'm going to share what you said with my she's like my other daughter, my daughter's first best friend. She's a psychologist in Atlanta, and I would definitely tell her about that getting certified in journal therapy because she's actually written a book called "My Feelings Are Okay" for children.
Yes. Yes.
So she's written a book saying, talking about the emotions that they're okay because often we're taught the happy emotions are okay, but if you're angry, no, you don't need to do that. Well, I feel like this: if my Jesus could flip them tables over in the temple, hey, your
I can.
girl could be a little bit mad.
And feeling emotions are neutral, so they aren't bad or wrong. Happy or
Yeah.
neutral. It's what we all are having. And before we can actually think our way out of a thing, we feel our way out of a thing. And
Wow.
people want to say, don't get so emotional. And the thing is, try not to get emotional. And you cannot not be emotional because you feel your way before you can think your way. And we have to know it's okay to feel our way, so that we can be able to get in touch with our thoughts. And our thoughts are how we think. And we can't get in touch with our thoughts until we feel how we are thinking, you know? And that's what I love about the background I have is that I'm not just here saying, okay, writing is fun or writing is something that's going to help you. It actually changes your brain, and it actually changes the way that you can relate to other people and how you reflect
Wow.
are in your life and on circumstances, no matter where they are. So, someone like myself who's trained to do this, I'm not a therapist, but I'm trained to help you use writing as a therapeutic kind of intervention to support you towards your journey as you're healing.
Wow. Listen, you all, I'm trying to type these gems in this feed down here. She said, you got to feel your way before you can think your way. And you know what? I, One thing I'm happy of, my parents, we were always able to express ourselves. Because if
Mm,
you're angry, you're angry. If you're mad, you're mad. You
yeah,
want to say, oh, don't do that. Then you have these people have all this pent up anger and anxiety, which we see manifest, especially in our community, in our black males, because the big boys don't cry
rage, yeah. Mhm.
uh and everything. And then on the other side, girls will start suppressing theirs because, oh, you just a crybaby. Oh, you just so dramatic.
Sensitive, yeah, like the
You
word,
get told that. I'm feeling this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you don't get to tell me how to express what I'm feeling. And if
Yeah.
I'm talking passionate at that moment, you need to just let me talk passionate. Because the more you try to, we need to calm down. No, I don't need to calm down. Because the more you keep telling me to calm down, I want to knock you out. So you better go and let me get this out of me. I
Yeah.
always tell people, somebody talking and expressing is better than somebody quiet and suppressing. Okay. Oh, I've dropped the gem. I gotta put that in there too.
There you go, doing your poetry. Put that poem in there. That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
Yeah, and if you think about it, even our great poets, Maya Angelou, with the stuff she wrote, I know why the birds sing. I remember, of course, when I read it the first time, I didn't have a clue.
Mhm.
Well, when I got to adulting and really finding out something about life, be like, whoa,
I know why the cage bird sings. I know.
whoa.
Yes. Yes. And that's why we need poetry. We need poetry, especially right now. This is the time where poets stand up. This is the time where poetry begins to reverberate into the psyche and the soul of humanity and to our human experience.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth. Poetry allows you to see the truth in a way that other things, you can read an essay online and you're like, oh, that's too much. But you read a poem and you're like, oh my gosh, I felt that. Or oh my gosh, maybe I need to think about something else. Maybe I need to think about this more. The way that that poet can articulate and express themselves, and
Yes.
that's what poetry does, and that's what poets are here for. We're here to really not to tell you what to do, but to expose the truth that's happening in the world, because I believe poets, we witness and we see things that other people might not be able to see because of our sensitive souls that God has called us to have.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things, when spoken word art became real popular with people, because I'm gonna say the ones that really were, I'm not going to say anybody wasn't writing anything meaningful, but those things that really impact you, generally, you knew it was a story behind that. That just wasn't something they threw on paper. That came from the depths of their soul. And so it became popular because it was like, wow, I can relate to that. And that's why I always tell people, especially with us, I hate that people say, well, why y'all always want to label this as black or whatever? Some of these are our experiences. And there it's okay for different cultures to have different experiences. Okay. That's life. I'm not saying what you experiencing is not real for you, but don't tell me that this is not unique to us.
Right.
Uh and that I shouldn't feel the way I feel. Hey Pat, my cousin is here, the one that you met. And
Hey,
look, she
girlfriend.
was she said, "Hey, Pat." So I mean, it is therapy. If writing is therapeutic, having your poem, something to poem. So with that said, I'm gonna read my poem, you all, and I'm gonna give my poem some context. Okay. So this was during the height of George Floyd. Oh Lord, the big broach of MAGA, Christian nationalism, everybody's everything was going on. And it was real volatile everywhere. Jobs were on your job, in the street. It was just a bad time. And we were in the thick of COVID. So being in the midst of a pandemic was not good for our psyches. And even now, y'all, we have not recognized the damage, the sheer damage that being isolated has has done. So we people were asked, who wanted to meet with Salaam. So I did. I wanted to meet with her, and it was interesting. We scheduled an appointment. We was on the phone, just having a casual conversation, and she's asking stuff like, how you doing, where you grew up, all that kind of background stuff. And she dropped some, little questions in about how everything was making me feel. How was I feeling about everything? Because this particular listening was specifically toward what was going on. And you all, when she sent me back my poem, I was literally speechless. And that's rare for me, okay? I was literally speechless, okay? And she actually sent me a audio version of her reading it as well. Um, so my poem ended up being titled America Regressed. And you all, this poem was written May 24th, 2022.
Oh,
So
wow.
over 2 years ago.
Mm.
Today, this poem has manifested more than it did when I was sharing with her how I felt then. So, y'all take a listen. It's called America Regressed. The wretched, decaying roots of America isn't our legacy. A healthcare system that relies only on scholarship over the humanity of bedside care isn't our legacy. Ask me, a boat tipper, a change maker, a woman who is not afraid to revolt. Ask me to send emails above the heads of those who sit in the seat of dreaded complacency. Ask me, the niece of a 95-year-old woman who sees the post civil rights era worsening the inheritance of the forefathers. Ask me, someone who prays and knows how to get a message to heaven. Ask me how to reverse the systemic repression of a workplace built off of a plantation mentality.
Wow.
Ask me, and I will hold up hope to the light of truth and build authentic bridges rather than barricaded barriers. Ask me about liberating laws and revealing that the glass has always been half full. Our glass shall never empty, in spite of America regressing. Our glasses remain replenished. And ask me how I know, and I will tell you because my mama and daddy told me so. Told me that I am the carrier of the knowledge of the bright star, the fullness of all morning glory. Ask me, born with medicine powers in my bones, words of wisdom flowing like cool water across the sacredness of my beating chest. Ask me, and I will tell you that it is faith that propels me and faith that will preserve us all. Ask me, America, how we shall never fall back into the regretful river of regression. Fill the cup of legacy, repent again, and swallow the sourness of pride. Ask me, a boat tipper, a change maker, a woman who is not afraid to revolt. Ask me, and I will tell you all about your ugly truths, America. And you all,
I
that
can't,
truly
who
embodied me.
did I write that? I don't even know what
Yeah,
I wrote.
yes, you did. Yes, you did. Um, that poem, you all, is something I reach back to it every now and then to just give me that breath of fresh air. Because there are sometimes I'd be like, you know what, I'm just sick and tired of this. But I know that's just me talking and it being expressive because I can never be sick and tired because I'm always gonna speak up. I mean, the poem, it just it touches my soul, Salaam. It just touches my soul how well you embody it. And y'all, this poem, and you all heard me earlier say the glass is gonna always be half full before I even read the poem. But the part about I would tell you because my mama and daddy told me so, you all speak life into your children. I don't care what state you're in. Don't ever say you can't be. This won't ever happen. My parents, I think when I exited the womb, my mama started calling me a nurse. I honestly believe, I don't know if I would have chose to be a nurse on my own. I was brainwashed post delivery. I always tell people that. But and I remember both of them. When you go to college, when you go to college, it was never if you go to college. It was when you go to college, y'all. If my mama and daddy had not planted that confidence in me, when I got to UAB and got into that school of nursing, I would have quit because it
Mm.
was not set up and designed for us to, not for many of us to successfully get through. And on here, Salaam, one of, I told you, our favorite fan, Eleanor Fisher, her sister has the historical pleasure of being the first Black graduate of
Yeah.
UAB, UA/UAB School of Nursing, because she started out at Alabama, then they moved it. And her other sister both graduates. So from my little hometown, even with coming to UAB, had that reference point with her. And also my cousin Patricia, she attended UAB and she graduated later on. That's their cousin. So the reference point I had was they finished UAB.
You
So
can.
I
Yeah.
know I can. But the seed started with my mom and daddy telling me so. And then
Right.
the other part that hit me was talking to my 95-year-old um, cousin who will be 99, I think. No, she'll be 97 or 98 in August, this month, actually. So I was just asking her, I said, what is this like for you? Do you feel like this is better or worse than prior to the civil rights movement? And she paused a minute and she said, actually, worse. She said, we were fighting for rights. We were fighting for the right to vote, the right to live where we want to live, to have certain jobs. She said, you've lived your life thinking you overcame.
Ah.
And now they're pushing you, trying to push you back to regression. And I was like, wow. So that's how that part got put into the poem. I shared that in our conversation. So, and then I shared this about the letter to writing the letter after George Floyd got murdered. UAB didn't say anything. Nothing came out. And I started counting down. I said, I'm giving 48 hours. And initially, I was going to send it to the diversity officer of the school,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Paulette Dilworth. But as I was typing, Going back to my mama and daddy told me so. My mom done told me when you got an issue, go straight to the source. I said, you know what? I'm gonna send this to the CEO. And I
Mm-hmm.
sent my email to Dr. Will Fernandes.
Mm-hmm.
And he did reach out and he apologized. But his thing was, he said, Valerie, he grew up, he's from Mobile. He said, Valerie, I sincerely apologize. He said, but I was so in shock. He was like, what can I say as an older white man? You know, so his thing was like, what do I say? I don't want people to think I'm that person. I really don't care. I said, well, your silence.
Yeah, it speaks volumes of how you really feel. Yeah.
That wasn't the time to be in that shop. So, and people could not believe I did that. I'm like, hey, that's just how my mom and daddy told me so.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I thank God for that confidence they gave me because I grew up thinking, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a multimillionaire. You're not better than me. So I thank God for it because I realize a lot of people don't get that. So I'm real big on speaking life into people. I was talking to a young lady who Lord put in my life. I would say, here go my other assignment. And she was actually thanking me. She said, she called me auntie. She said, Auntie, thank you for making sacrifices so me and my family could get ahead. She said, I know there were things you could have done for yourself or your children. And I'm getting emotional, y'all, because we don't like to sacrifice for others. We got to stop being selfish. We got to stop being selfish. It's going to take us to save us with all of this gun violence and everything going on in Birmingham. Y'all, these kids are hurting. We have got to speak life. We got to stop calling them thugs. We got to get somebody like Salaam to get them to get some poetry, to put their words, what they're feeling into words, and then start saying, hey, yeah, you've started down this path, but you can change it. You can
Yes.
turn. It's
Mhm.
gonna take us. The cavalry ain't coming. We are the cavalry.
We are. Yes.
We are the cavalry. And granted, yes, we need to push for laws to be changed. We need to push that when you're a black person, you call the police, they don't shoot you when you've called for help.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we've got to do what we need to do because it's enough of us that have been that are successful that you
Mm-hmm.
can drive your car a little longer to give a child in college some spending money. You can drive your car. You ain't got to go on your vacation all out the country every year to help somebody that is trying to get ahead. Because, like I said, the cavalry ain't coming. And let me put this out here. I'm apolitical. I don't like the Democrats or the GOP and probably most of the independents either, if there are any independents. Let me put that out there. I judge a book by its cover and I read the pages in between too, okay? But we have got to hold people accountable. I don't care what side they on. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, those of you that real believe voting matters, and I have some personal opinions about that, but I ain't gonna talk about that tonight. Yeah. But if that's what you choose to do, make sure you choose well and be informed. Make sure
Yeah.
you choose well and be informed about whomever you select. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, send them to the house. Next, put them on the next train smoking. Don't even give them no other time to give you a fish sandwich and a drink, okay? Because they're gonna get your belly full and then you're gonna vote for them. Give me one more chance. No, we're not doing it. So, Pat, you need to get Salaam to your church. Everybody on here, we need to make sure
Yes.
and tell your pastor she ain't free. F
No,
R E E. Okay.
not free. I
Okay.
know.
We pay
Yeah.
for everything else.
Right.
We can pay. Okay. And don't ask for no discount. If she
Right.
want to if she want to discount her price, that's her business.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's her business. Don't be
Well,
asking for no discounts.
and that's a perfect segue to say, I just left my alma mater. My one of my alma maters is the University of Montevallo, and then also the University of North Dakota. And I just left the University of North Dakota doing inaugural keynote for them, which was really beautiful because you know
Yes.
about North Dakota, but really thinking about like the trajectory of how multi-ethnic and intergenerational and how diverse people are. Like diversity and how people are looking and hungry for inspiration, but also hungry for ways that they can change their lives. and how that we don't just want to look at poetry or what I do as a poet laureate as someone who's coming to perform, but knowing that me as a person, having me there to support you, and then me being a part of your community and your community being a part of who I am, that we are creating villages here in Birmingham, villages that are going to change the trajectory of a society. It's going to bring unity if we can make sure that we use our words as power. And that's what words are. Our words are power. Our voices are power. And I'm
Yes,
for people in doing that. So yes, anybody,
for
anywhere,
sure.
what I'm here for. Yeah.
Healing through poetry. That's what this segment was called. Healing through poetry. And y'all, let me say this. Salaam do have some organizations that she goes and volunteer and give her time to. Nonprofit organization, churches. Yeah, that ain't y'all no more. Y'all profiting. Okay. Y'all not nonprofit. I'm not, exclusion. Okay. Unless she get that discern that this is a really struggling church. And then y'all might need to consider going in with somebody else. I digress. Anyway.
Same
That's
self.
another hey, that's another segment
Artists
with
have to survive too. Artists, we are professionals and we need to survive. And this is
yes,
my bread and butter. Yeah, this is my bread and butter, and I have expertise to do it, and I want to support the community. So, I sit with people when I tell them how much other people outside of Birmingham pay me, then they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yes, because that's what I'm worth." And you all are worth that as well in your organization.
yeah.
So, absolutely, yeah, we're
That's
here to
it.
support.
And I can tell you this, she's not going to charge you as we call usury. She ain't like capitalism. Oh, let me charge them abnormal,
Yeah,
absorbent price just because I can. Just because I can. So remember that, and I always tell people, you want to be paid for what you do. And you all, how many poems did you do in that time frame? I forgot how many of us that you listened to during that time. It was
oh,
quite a few. She
I,
cranked, and it was actually coming up to the
June.
Juneteenth
Hmm.
time. So it was really good. And I would tell you all this: my daughter has her own business.
Yes.
When she has a performance or something, I'm not a performer, but when she had one of her artists or clients performing, you know what Terrell and I do? We pay for the ticket. You know why we pay for a ticket? Because my mom and dad told me so. It really is. My mama used to say, Val, your people will be the first people to put you out of business quick because they be wanting a deal. I pay for the ticket because what I want people to know, her mom and dad are paying. Now, she work us down. We be working too. But the
Yeah.
point is, we still pay for the ticket, okay?
Right.
We still
Mm.
pay. So we got to stop wanting stuff for free. And Lord knows the church won't. They want everything free. But y'all can spend thousands of dollars on days and things that are not even impacting the community. Why don't you defer some of that money? You ain't got to have no Women's Day, you got no Men Day, none of this stuff. We could defer that money to help our communities. I'm just at that point now. Let me go back and read to y'all. Ask me, a boat tipper, a
Yes.
change maker, a woman who is not afraid to revolt. And I didn't tell y'all, I gave Salaam one. I actually had that put on a t-shirt, and I gave Salaam a
I got.
copy of it
I love
because
it.
it embodied me so. And let me get Pat and Eleanor. I saw y'all say y'all ain't never heard me be speechless. I get speechless every now and then. Not often.
I'm humble, Pat and Eleanor. I'm humble that she's speechless. Very humble to do this for Val.
It's powerful. Now let me ask this along because I didn't get to go out and get all the details. You just put an announcement up yesterday, I believe. What you gonna be doing? A coach or something?
Yes, so I am going to be an advisor for Pen America, which is a poetry organization, and we are doing poetry workshops between Birmingham and Arizona. So
Wow.
our, we are diversifying what we do. There's a huge bilingual population in
Yeah.
Arizona, and we are looking at ways that Birmingham and Arizona poets look at life as far as housing, immigration,
Wow.
inclusion. So I'm an advisor with Pen America, bringing in instructors and mentors and two poets here in Birmingham and two poets in Arizona to do some work together to see how we can show the world how our cities are more alike than they are different.
True. And we need to learn that as people.
Right.
We need to learn that as people. So now look, now y'all got my church memo on here to my win. I'm gonna get you Sunday. No, I'm gonna get you Saturday.
Tell, tell the truth. She's like, well, never heard it. Never speechless.
Mr. Lawrence Gresham, I'm gonna get you. I might call you after this show as a fact. So look, you all, your churches, talk to your pastors. If your pastor know you, let me say that.
Go ahead,
If your
knock
pastor don't know
it.
you, just go on and sneak in on the back pew and go home like you've been doing. If you have a relationship with your pastor
A good relationship. Yeah. A God,
and he don't look and he like, who? What? What's your name?
what you talking about?
Yeah. Please talk to him about this. And also you all about going because we are called to go into the hedges and highways. Not it's okay to invite people to church, you all, but we do so much invite, we don't ever go to these people on their territory so you can see how they're living. You can see what's bringing about their frustrations, because salvation, yeah, you confess Christ, you saved, but all the stuff that gagged you bound, you ain't been delivered. So we need to move from getting people just to salvation. We want to get people to be whole, spirit, body, and soul, and help them know that they can come up out of poverty, they can come up out of gangs, they can whatever, they can come off drugs, whatever it is,
Yes,
whatever it is.
that's a
And
word.
look, this Pat time, I don't know what the Pat saying exactly to what Miss Grisha said about she's never heard me speechless or to what we just said, but Pat ain't quiet either. So
None of us are quiet. We all have
hey,
yes.
yeah, look, she a preacher, so how
Yes.
about that?
How about that? We know you.
How about that?
Yes.
So look, Salaam, we always close the show. Let our guests have a final word. You can share. We give you opportunity to share a soapbox, something that you just wish would change, or words of encouragement, or both, whichever you feel led to do.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for witnessing and allowing me to be here. I feel very humbled to be in your presence and to your in your audience presence. I just want to leave you with a few words from my proclamation poem that I did for the city of Birmingham at the city council for the inauguration of um, my poet laureate fellowship that I have here in Birmingham. And it's called What Must We Do? And I'm just going to read a few lines. And if you want to hear more, you can find me at that website or you can email me at salamgreen@gmail.com. But the name
Okay.
of this poem is What Must We Do, America? What must we do to elevate the human race? What must we do to eliminate violence, poverty, and suffering? What must we do, America? We must activate acts of agape love in moments of radical resistance, more joy. We must walk the streets and recognize the beauty therein, the progress, the histories that tell our stories of forgiveness and unrelenting legacy. What must we do, Birmingham? What must we do, America? We must rise. We must work. We must build. We must be brave. We must be the Birmingham. We must be the America where people were born to be free. The America we wish to see. The America we know and trust we all can and desire to be. What must we do, America? What must we do?
Woo. And I want you all to go to sleep on that. What must you do?
Thank
What
y'all.
must you do? So you all have a good night. Now look, you all, last week, a week before last, whenever I had it on, y'all were so enthralled with attorney Tiffany Johnson Cole. So we decided that we would actually have her on. We're calling it Third Thursdays with Tiff. So next week she will be here. So every third Thursday, we decided to do it now through the definitely through the election, because we talked about Project 25 and we just call this hot topics. And if you notice, I took the JD off of her name because she said she would just be coming in representing her, not being an attorney. Okay. So that's what we're going to be doing. So she will be here next Thursday and then every third Thursday of the month. And if you all have anything, hot topics you all want us to talk about, y'all can shoot me an email and let me know. You can always go to the Facebook page and send a message, or an email address is there as well. So let us know the hot topics. Um, and I am going to do it after the show. I intended to have it up before, but I found some young lady who's doing some good information about Project 2025 and Project 47. I can't, something 47. But what I liked about her, because I'm apolitical, because I don't like neither side, for real, for real, is that I like the way she share. She's not telling you to vote this, do this. What she's doing is what we're saying. Get involved in your communities, go to meetings, be informed. And she said, whatever decision you make sure you make a decision based on solid information and not just because. This is how I view it. I shared this with somebody. And this was an extreme model. They was like, well, Val, you can't be doing this and you should vote for this and da da da. I said, let me tell you something. I said, if somebody has a history of being a pedophile, I don't care how much they promise me. They cannot keep my child. Period. Saved, sanctified, fire baptized, Holy Ghost filled. They can't keep my baby. They can't. Just based on their history. So for me, that's something you say no. However, you may have someone that they've done some, let's say they stole some money. I'm gonna say stole some money. They could have been young, got DUI, but they have changed. You can't hold that against them for all their lives. If you really see they made change, there are some extreme things we got to do a definitive no. I cannot support you, but we got to look at our lives and realize we got some stuff that had we been caught, we might have been in prison,
Right.
or could have had a bad outcome. Okay, so don't crucify people for stuff that happened 40 years ago, because basically what we're saying, that Christ shouldn't have forgiven us. That's really what we're saying as believers. Now, the worldly folks, y'all keep y'all whirling, and we're gonna pray for y'all that y'all come to know Christ. So y'all have a good night. Get ready for Third Thursdays with Tiff and Salaam. I am so proud of you. I just thank God for the doors that He's opened up you. You're an example of your gifts and talents making room for you. You all have a good night and rest well. Y'all gonna finish watching the Olympics. I guess it's still showing. And hold on, Salaam.